but they will always know in the back of their mind, no matter what I'm tackling, Dad's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad, some of the music and movies that you introduced us to were probably not the most appropriate at age. We're all on the same page. We have the same inside jokes, the same sense of humor. So it's just a blast, dude. I love hanging out with my daughters. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Hello, I am Tony Cooper, host of the Dad Manual podcast, and I am here today with one of my favorite dads. Jason, will you introduce yourself?
I am Jason Wright. I'm a great dad, and I've got some wisdom to share.
You are J-Dub in the house. I'm so excited for our conversation. You know, a little bit of background. You and I are newish friends. We've met within the past couple of months and just really hit it off. And when I started talking to you about being a dad and the podcast, you were like, that's my favorite conversation. So I was like, well, let's get you on here. And then the other thing that's unique about you, so many things are unique about you, obviously, but you are my first guest who is a podcast host himself. So I'm going to be taking notes and I get to learn from you. And I know it's going to be a great conversation. Let's see, where do I want to begin? Why don't we start with you describing what kind of a dad you are?
What kind of a dad? Well, first of all, I'm a nutty dad. I'm a clown. My daughters learned at a very young age that they were going to have thick skin because their dad was going to probably embarrass them. One of the things I've always done is been a very, very intentional dad. I've made the point, I'm a girl dad. I have 2 adult daughters, and I've always tried to be an encourager. I've always tried to be someone who would always level with my daughters. One of the things that I've mentioned to you before, at a very young age, I made the decision that I would never speak down to my children. And by that, I don't mean yelling at them and belittling them. I mean, I would always speak to them at a level above their age and their intellect. Always spoke to them like little adults, obviously maintaining an appropriate vernacular and whatnot with them, but always wanted them to have a higher level of thinking. And one of the things I always did was just to be very willing to explain and talk and discuss things with my daughters. Very engaged, very present, very intentional. So yeah, that's kind of the type of dad that I am.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely align with that philosophy in how you talk to your kids. Like, treat them like they're capable, because soon enough they will be, right? They learn and they grow and they develop so quickly. And, you know, I've said a number of times, like, the whole point of raising kids is to wind up with killer adults that you want to hang out with and then they want to hang out with you. So you're at the proving grounds of that. Now, our kids are about the same age. You got a 24 and a 21. I've got a almost 24 and almost 22. So we're almost identical in terms of that. And so what's it like hanging out with your adults, your adult children now?
It's awesome, Tony. It's actually 24, about to be 25 and 26. So
26. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, man. So it's awesome. It's cool because I have a very distinct relationship with each daughter. Now, you put the 3 of us together, we're all on the same page. We have the same inside jokes, the same sense of humor, but one-on-one, that sense of humor, music we like to listen to. One of the things I do with both girls all the time is I'll be listening to a song that I know resonates with them based on their taste or some memory. I'll share it with them. Some of them are songs that all 3 of us resonate with. But hanging out with them now is just, it's laughing. It's getting to share wisdom. It's getting to have conversations where they can share with me experiences that they're going through, and I get to learn from them. It's really cool. You know, Abby, my youngest, she just moved from Manhattan out to the West Coast. And so going through her time in New York, I've never done that. I spend a lot of time in the city, like I've told you, but I've never lived there. And so her adjusting to that. Rylan, after she finished undergrad, she went to live in Atlanta. And so I had spent a lot of time in and out of Atlanta. So we were able to relate to that with one another. It's just so fun, man. It's mostly just what's going on in life. We talk everything from religion, philosophy, current events, music, movies, and it's all now on a very even level. And so it's just a blast, dude. I love hanging out with my daughters. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Yeah. The music is such an interesting thing that connects. I do that as well, share with my kids. And how long ago did that begin where you were sharing music with them or they're sharing music with you? And, you know, when I was raising kids, like, it seems like you're supposed to play like little nursery rhyme songs for them, right? Did you ever do that? Or did you always just go straight to like, let me share some music with you?
So no, we listened to Ravi and some of the other, down by the bay with waterlands. Yeah, we
Mhm.
that at a very young age. But then also as they got probably, I would say like, I don't know, 10, 11. Whenever they reach double digits, that's when I
Yeah.
started introducing them to my music. And one of the things that is really cool. Now, I know I'm biased 100% Tony, but my daughters are really cool, very good
Yeah.
sense of humor, and they've got great taste in music. And a lot of that I like to take credit for is because whenever they were young, I introduced them to the music that you and I grew up on. They
Mm.
knew the soundtracks to 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink,
Yeah.
all these great movies that John Hughes did for the most part that also had amazing soundtracks. So they
Yeah.
knew that. So it was very early on. In fact, the girls will tell you now, they've been on my show before and they busted my chops that, yeah, Dad, some of the music and movies that you introduced us to were probably not the most appropriate at
Right.
an age. But they appreciate it now because they definitely knew who Oasis was at a very young age
Yeah.
and Metallica and all my bands. But it started pretty darn early, man. And also, I listened to a lot of Christian music. So they knew who Third Day was at a very young age. Chris Tomlin, Third Day, David Crowder. They knew who all of those folks were at a very young age. And God, Jars of Clay, DC Talk. Well, DC Talk, that shows how old I am, dude. That's kind of the old Christian music before Toby Mac went on his own. Yeah, it was really early, Tony. And it's, looking back, it's still to this day one of our favorite things. Like I told you that the
Yeah.
relationship is unique with each girl. Rylan and I have this game where she'll put her iPhone on and she'll see how quickly I can identify the song, within just the first few, like,
Yeah.
beats of it. And so that's one of our favorite games to play. And I have an incredibly eclectic taste in music. And so I think as a result, the girls have picked that up too. Now, haven't gotten them into Mozart yet. They don't really dig the classical, but a lot of the other stuff, all the way back to music from the 60s, the 80s, 90s to more contemporary stuff, my girls are pretty well versed. And I think that's pretty cool.
I will tell you, it just surprised the hell out of me when my kids were playing on their own 80s music
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just on
Right.
their own and then pulling out stuff I hadn't heard probably since I heard on the radio. And I was like, wow, how
Yeah.
can you be that interested in that era of music? But it has a lot to do with how it was introduced to them for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, the thing about inappropriate, I was like, you kids, you're going to love this movie. There's singing, there's dancing, there's romance. It's got great soundtrack. I showed them Grease when they were really young. And I was like, oh man, that's an inappropriate movie. But
Yep.
I saw it at their age and it didn't seem inappropriate at all.
Yep. Same.
And so
Same.
something's really different. Then the other big snafu was I got us tickets when they were younger to go see the Book of Mormon.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what that was about at all. And I was in there going like, I can't believe I took my little kids to go see this show.
Oops. Let me say something about this, Tony, because we're talking about
Yeah.
talking to our kids as though they're capable.
Yeah.
This is what I have learned from being an employer of Gen Zers in particular. And now I'm not painting all Gen Zers with one brush, but I will say I think it's less likely that a Gen Zer will know those 80s songs and movies these days. They are very much in their present time. I think that's one of the
Mhm.
things because of social media. They have a TikTok language, an Instagram language. They're very much of the present era. And I think that it's kind of sad because if you're a kid and you're not exposed to those older movies and kind of kind of pop culture from the times that we grew up, it makes the conversation that you're able to have with people like us that are, getting gray and a little bit older, it makes it a little more challenging. And I think it's so cool that our kids will be able to go up to like you and I, if we're their boss and we're just so far apart age wise, but we can also talk about Don't Forget About Me being one of the greatest songs ever from the Breakfast Club, right? And then boom, we
Yeah.
got a connection. And I don't know. I think that's part of the handbook for you
Right.
dads out there. There's another benefit other than just creating the connection with your kid. I think understanding those things for them helps them be more conversational and have a little bit broader state of mind whenever they're out there in the world.
Man, that's a really good take on that. I appreciate that a lot. And I do feel like my kids do have a really easier time than a lot of others relating to adults. And
Mhm.
and you're right, when you enter the workforce, the only people you're relating to are people that are adult age, probably older than you. So that's a really good point about that. One of the things that's really important to me about this podcast and this conversation is the idea about how we as men are taking our jobs seriously about
Mm.
healing the trauma rather than passing it on to our kids. And so I'm really curious to hear about your journey toward that, your childhood, how you formed your ideas of fatherhood, and then your journey really to becoming a dad and how all that's shifted over the years.
Yeah, man. So came from a broken home. My parents divorced when I was 4. And then by the time I was 12, I was living with my dad full time and pretty much ceased to have any relationship whatsoever with my biological mom for a lot of different reasons. One is I was very, very, manipulated sounds terrible, but like, call a spade a spade. I was very manipulated
Mhm.
by my stepmother about how horrible my biological mother was. And I
Mm,
was raised to basically despise that whole side of the family, that my dad was this saint, and I was basically to worship him. And I
mm,
did. I grew up in a very traditional household with two step siblings, a half brother. I was an only child until I was 4 and grew up very traditional Southern Baptist upbringing. And again, raised to worship my father. And the love in my household was incredibly conditional. I didn't know
mm,
those things when I was growing up. I just thought that's
mhm.
what you do. You perform, you get rewarded with love and hugs and attaboys. And if you don't, well, the consequence is that your dad's not going to talk to you. He's going to be cold to you. And then you get to an adult and you figure these things out. And one of the things that I've learned as an adult and as a parent is just because you're aware the fact that that's the game that was being played doesn't mean you're not susceptible to doing the exact same thing that your parents did.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I have had to battle throughout the course of my life is that, I think my dad, his biggest deal was it hurt him whenever I outgrew him, whenever I went off and did things he had never done in his life. He grew up in a very safe, secure, sheltered environment. I mean, the place where my parents live now is on land that's been in our family for 100 years. It's where my dad rode his bike. It's where my dad rode his horses. I mean, he's traveled, but never lived outside of our community.
That East Texas, right?
East Texas. Yeah, exactly. And so I think as I grew, I became someone that he felt like he didn't know, even though I continued to stroke him. I love him. I didn't want to make those same mistakes with my girls. So whenever I would feel the inkling of, especially as adults or when they were in college, they haven't called this week. Well, I'll show
Mhm.
them. I just won't call them. I had to
Mm,
fight that and to recognize that's not how this game should be played.
right.
Instead, it doesn't matter whether they call me once, twice, 3 times a day, a month, whatever. I'm the parent in this relationship, and I'm going to always pursue my girls. They're always going to know that the love is not conditional. And so I think that's where you kind of turn that beauty for ashes in that you say, okay, this is the way I was raised, but it doesn't mean I have to repeat the process. And that's what I've tried to do with my girls. And also things like my younger brother and I were just having this conversation this week about how our parents growing up, they would remind us of things that they had done as though we were supposed to just be just overwhelmed with gratitude.
Mm,
And as we become adults and both parents, thus more peers with our own parents, it's like, well, that's just being a parent, mom. That's just being a parent, dad. That's what goes with the job. I am grateful, but I would never ask my daughters to, be overwhelmingly grateful because I put food on the table.
right, right.
So I think that's some of it, man. And there was a lot of good that came from it too, the way I was raised. I was
Of
raised to
course.
be a, hard worker. My dad has an amazing sense of humor. That's who I
Mhm.
give all the credit for that, which I
Yeah.
think has been really beneficial to my girls. But yeah, man, that's a little bit about that backstory.
It's this idea of how trauma just gets passed down generation to generation, not intentionally. Like there's nobody who's bad who's trying to do it. When love becomes conditional, like that love follows performance or love follows results, what you're really doing is tying this innate feeling of not good enough into your
Mhm.
child. So what you were saying about your dad is like so clearly he carries the same thing. Like he
Mhm.
was raised to
Sure.
feel like he was not good enough. And then that gets passed on. And like that will just keep happening until someone goes, I can see it. I don't want it. Because even with the awareness, if you're like, I didn't like how I was raised, and I'm definitely not going to do that with my kids, there's like an internal programming around this, and it's unconscious. It's just you just do it naturally. So how did you like obviously cut yourself doing that? You're not going to automatically just walk through the door called Daddy Land, and all of a sudden that's behind you because you say it, because it's in you, it's programmed. So how did you get to the point of seeing yourself doing it, not liking it, overcoming it? What was that process for you?
Couple of things. One, I've got a wife that reminds me often, and it
Mrs. Right.
yeah, Mrs. Wright, as I refer to her, and, Mrs. Wright is very good about always making me aware in a very sweet and kind and encouraging way, "Hey, that's not who you are. That's not the way we're gonna be with our girls." So that's a big part of it.
Mhm.
Another part, Tony, is that a lot of it is I think it's just by God's grace. So one of the things I used to do with Rylan and Abby every night before they went to bed, I would lie down with each of them individually. You know, we both had our own little routines. Rylan, I'd pretend to put her makeup on. Abby, I would tell her little made up stories. I made up this character, Ricky Migglefitz, and I'd tell her these goofy stories about Ricky Migglefitz. And I remember multiple times just lying there in bed as they would doze off, and I would just pray and I would thank God that I got it. That what you're asking, that I don't know why, but God put something on my heart to
Mhm.
show these girls safety, security, show them how a man should behave in their life as a
Mhm.
protector, as
Yeah,
gentle.
right.
Um, and so a lot of it, man, was just, I don't want to make it sound performative, but man, there was something that just I always went back to, I know this time is going way faster than I realize. And so
Mhm.
I've got to make the best use of it I can. For example, one of the things, dude, they used to love to jump on the trampoline, and I hated jumping on the freaking trampoline, man. I mean, and I'd play all these goofy games with them, and it'd be at the end of the day, and I just want to rest. And I remember there was something in me, Tony, that I would tell myself, you know what? One day you will give anything to be able to go jump on the trampoline with
Yeah.
those little girls. And it's true. I mean, man, I get, kind of choked up thinking about it. I would give anything. Um,
Mhm.
mm.
Hmm.
And I knew that. And so a lot of it was kind of innate, but I don't take credit for it. I'm like, God just put something in my heart. He's like, if you'll listen to me, I'm going to show you how to love these girls. And
Yeah.
I did it. And then it's also, man, I just didn't want them ever to have the relationship that I had with my dad, which was on the one hand, I just worshiped the guy. But on the other hand, it was just so debilitating. I mean, you and I talked about it in how we
Mhm.
met, where, for all intents and purposes, you've been a coach to me. And I told you, I used to enter a room thinking, I have to let all these people know I'm a good and decent guy because my dad had me believing I was such a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And so knowing I would never want my daughters to feel that way, it led to a natural cognizant behavior of, hey, my girls will never feel that. They're always going to know they can be real, they can be genuine, they can have open conversations with me, they can call me out respectfully. They'll be honest. That's the thing too, Tony, that I had to be aware of is you can't be honest in my family as I grew up. I think I may have mentioned this to you one time. In my family growing up, and to this day, my dad behaves this way. It is far more insulting and just an act of bad behavior for me to tell him he's hurt my feelings than the thing he did to hurt my feelings. That's how my dad rolls. He can
Yeah.
say whatever he wants to you, belittle you, get mad at you, tell you he's angry with you, and hurt you, and you telling him, "Dad, you've hurt me,"
Right.
is far worse than anything he did, and I never wanted my girls to go through that. I just didn't want them to feel that.
Yeah. And that message is so profound when you burn that into your child that they're worthless, that they're a piece of
Yeah.
crap, that they're not good with. No amount of evidence you can amass in your life
Mhm.
can convince you otherwise.
That's right.
It's just so profound until you do the work,
Yep,
until you break that cycle. And
yep.
so, that's the value of doing it. It's not just that you get to be a better dad, but you just get to enjoy being who you are and appreciate who you are without having all the pretense that you have got to be something other than you are in order to be loved or to be appreciated or whatever it
Yeah,
might be.
for sure, and kind of along these lines, one of the things too that, again, I don't know, it just occurred to me at some point, I wanted them to always know there was one guy in this world, no matter what, that believed with all of his heart they were beautiful,
Mm,
they were worthy, that they could always, come to with their problems, could crawl up in his lap and it'd be safe. Because I always thought to myself, man, they're going to go out into the world and they're going to face all kinds of battles and demons and like good dudes, bad dudes, but they will always know in the back of their mind, no matter what I'm tackling, dad's there.
yeah.
Dad's there. And talking about music, I tell you, Tony, as a father
Yeah.
of just children in general, but having girls, like, I already know the song that Abby and I will dance to. Rylan, I've got
Mhm.
her song, but the youngest, when she marries, Two Steps Behind by Def Leppard. Listen to it, the acoustic version. If you do not weep like a little baby when you put it in that context
Okay.
as a father, dude, it's awesome. So
Oh, yeah.
that's one. So
That's
dads out there
amazing.
that are listening, go check out Two Steps Behind by Def Leppard. It's a good one.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing. By the time this airs, you will have a married daughter.
That's right. That's
So
right, man.
how I mean, we're talking like less than 2 months away right now. 6
Yeah,
weeks, something
April
like that?
18th, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How you feeling? How's it all going? What's it like?
You know, it's good. I will tell the dads out there, I know this sounds kind of tongue in cheek or whatever, but start saving the moment that they're born. Yeah, it's dude. I mean, but here's the thing too. This opens up some space for a conversation that, again, Tony, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't know why this occurred to me, but I'm going to tell you how I have handled this from the standpoint of my future son-in-law.
Yeah.
It's kind of cliche in all the movies, and when you talk about the future son-in-law, everybody asks us, "So do we like the guy? Do you like the
Mhm,
guy?"
mhm.
And first of all, the person I do know likes the guy, and in fact loves the guy, is my daughter.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
whether I like him or don't like him is kind of secondary. It's important, but that becomes a matter of trust. Do I trust that I have raised a daughter that will choose a life partner that is worthy of her? Yes, I do.
Mhm.
I think Rylan has a good head on her shoulders. It's another thing that I think we as parents do is we go, "Oh my gosh, please, I hope their marriage is okay." And there's so many marriages that end in divorce, and I don't want that
Yeah.
for my daughter. Oh my gosh. And we just sit back and we just pray.
Mhm.
But I think this is my strategy. Now we'll see. Who knows? This part I haven't gone through yet. Hopefully this will work. I have taken the approach, and I told my wife this. I said, you know what? I have to love Carmine, her future husband. I have to love Carmine because I love her, and the two of them are becoming one. So if two are becoming one, then to love Rylan is to, in fact, love Carmine. And secondly, my relationship with him is going to be one that he is going to be a son I never had. I'm going to reach out to him whenever Abby's married and Rylan's married, Lachlan, her soon to be fiance, and Carmine. We're going to do guy trips. I'm going to take those
Mhm.
boys where they like it or not. We're going to go to a really cool place, a beach, a mountain, or something. And here's the reason why. Brother, I want to make them know that if you ever do anything, not that they would cheat or whatever, but I mean, if they ever even thought about it, they will know well that not only will they be breaking the heart of one of my little girls, but they'd be breaking our brotherhood and our trust.
Yeah.
And so instead of being like, you know, by God, you better treat my little girl right. No, I want to be the
Mhm.
type of father-in-law that says, hey, I want to come beside you and I
Mhm.
want to help you be a man that's worthy of my daughter. And by the way, my daughter's not perfect. I want you to know you can always come to me and pick up the phone and say,
Mhm.
you know, Mr. Wright, I got to talk to you. You know, Rylan is out of sorts. Abby is out of sorts. Can you help a brother out?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's the way I've approached it. And it's just now, to be honest with you, Tony, starting to settle in. And like, I think about the fact that, you know, April 19th, I wake up and there's another man that is ultimately responsible for Rylan's well-being, and it's not
Mhm.
me. Oof, God,
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to believe because I'll still feel that like no matter what problem she has,
Mhm.
it's my job. But all in all, man, I would say it's good. Whenever she first told me, I saw it coming. Both girls have dated both of
Mhm.
their respective partners now since they were in college. So 4+ years. So yeah, man, I think I'm handling it well. I got over the whole draining my bank account thing pretty early. I just realized you just have to surrender. And I've got a Mrs. Wright loves details and it's over the
Mhm.
top. And I think even more so than Rylan at this point. And so it's going to be amazing. It's partnering. I think that's the biggest thing that I want to get to. Man, you got to partner with your future son-in-law so that he'll trust you. And it's more than just those two kids getting married and hoping it works out.
Right. You know, you mentioned a number of times that you really identify as a girl dad, and there's something
Mhm,
about what that means to you, which
mhm,
is being the example of what a future relationship will be like because
mhm,
they're kids for a period of time and the daddy daughter relationship means a lot when they're little I think it means a lot more when they're teenagers. And then I think the real opportunity is as an adult, and to have been the one who forged the path and held the standard so that she knows what she can expect or she should expect or demand or stand for in relationship. I think that probably helps you accept these young men into your family, knowing like, I mean, she's choosing through the filter of me. So if she's picking an idiot, that's probably my fault
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
some way.
Oh, 100%, man. And that's another thing too that I'll be honest with you, man, I get it. We all live life. We take certain things for granted, but and this is not to say that it's any better or more critical or whatever. If I had sons, raising a good, virtuous man like you're doing,
Mhm,
whew, I mean, what a responsibility that is. You're literally
mhm,
chiseling this young man into something that he can go out and be a leader in the world in. But for me, I've always taken this approach of I need to be somebody that's worthy of my daughters wanting to look to find the person they'll spend the rest of
mhm.
their life with. And that's again, I know some of the folks listening to this may not agree with it, but I just think there's a special responsibility as a man of how we should behave, be the same person when nobody's looking as when they are. I really believe in that. And that goes through to like, I have a young lady that works for me. She's 23. So I'm literally old enough to be her dad. She's younger than both of my daughters.
Mhm.
And I think that my girl dad behavior, I bring that into the workplace and to always be someone that is honoring, respectful. And I think that as men, we just have a responsibility to create an environment of safety, of someone to be looked up to.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now she's become like my third daughter. The girls, they know her
Yeah.
very
Of
well.
course.
And
Of course.
it's kind of funny, but I don't know. I think all of it ties in, man. Yeah, I just think there's a special responsibility there as a man.
Yeah. And I really like what you're saying about now with your son-in-laws here, you have an opportunity to be a dad to men
Yep.
in a way that obviously they're not kids, so it's not that level of development, but still you've got the years of experience. They're going to be walking the path and you're ahead of them. And I love that idea of really pouring into them and really wrapping your arms around them in that way and creating the opportunity for them to be part of the right family. That sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious, what are some of the parts about fatherhood you found to be maybe unexpectedly hard?
Mm. So the hardest part for me, Tony, and it's one that I look back on with the greatest disappointment in myself, is that wearing the stress. This is a thing that my father did. He wore the stress of being the provider, wearing that role of father. And I think just dealing with the stress of being a dad and being responsible for other human lives. And the reason why I bring that up is because I want to share my failures as well as the things I think I did.
Yeah.
The lying down with the girls and having the routines, that's really sweet and great, and saying our prayers and wow, what a guy. But also, let me tell you something. I was wound tight and stressed out, and I allowed it to steal a lot of the joy. On that trampoline jumping, there were a lot of times where I was a grumpy playmate for the girls. So I think
Mhm.
that that was one of the things. I don't think that anyone can do this job as a father. I say job, it's a privilege, but it is a job and not.
It's a job in which you pay to be there, though.
You
It's not
do, man. You pay, and just the stress that comes with it, just the worrying about them hurting themselves when they get older. I
Mhm.
mean, I still to this day, man, one of the worst weekends of my entire life
Mm,
was Abby. I guess she was 14-ish. Her and a friend get ready to go to a basketball game where she would be meeting her boyfriend. And then the phone ringing, and she is sobbing,
mm,
telling me I need to come pick her up because her boyfriend has broken up with her at the
mm,
game that I just saw her getting ready for, and I had to run across town to pick her up, and then she came home and just sat in my lap and bawled her eyes out.
mhm.
Those moments, man, that they could happen, but when they do, there's nothing that prepares you. So I think that that's the
Right.
thing, man, that just,
And I know that moment because you're there and you can feel her heart breaking, and the thing that matters most to you in the world is the protection of her heart. How did you deal with that?
good question, brother. Here's what I did. Having been through it, I hugged her and I said, "Baby, there's nothing I can say right now that's gonna make you feel any better.
Yeah.
This is going to hurt for a while. And
Mhm.
what's going to happen is you're going to wake up in the morning and it's going to seem like a normal morning. And then all of a sudden you're going to remember that this has happened and it's going to hurt. Your stomach's going
Mm.
to hurt. I said, but you have to trust me. It will get better and it's going to be okay. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going
Right.
to hurt for a while, but I'm going to be here with you. I love you. And I promise it's going to be okay. But just know, and that's the thing, man. Yeah, I wanted to strangle the kid's neck that did it to her.
Right.
But all I could focus on at that point was just letting Abby bawl and cry and tell me all the reasons why he shouldn't have done this and not say, yeah, Abby, what a little
Right.
jackass and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
just love on her and be real
Right.
with her. Say, yep, I know it's going to hurt. It sucks. It sucks. And that,
There is its own category of pain for broken heart. Like,
mm,
it's not like any other pain, and when I saw my daughter go through it, like, my heart was breaking all over again, and yeah, there's not much you can do but just be there and be that strong, loving person that she knows she can trust.
and I think that's one of the hard things, right? Is you want to take that pain from them, but you can't.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
just can't. We're the type of dads that we're like, dude, give it to me. Let me, I'll
Right.
take, or it's like the same thing whenever Abby was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. If there were a way I could take this for her, I so would. And that's the thing too, I'm sure you'd agree is, man, you learn just how insignificant you are in comparison to someone who you truly have unconditional love for. You learn your capacity to love in a way that's just it can't be simulated. I think that's
Yeah.
some of the things that kind of surprise me.
Yeah, all of those are, like, welcome to being a human moments that you just would not experience if you weren't a parent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure, for sure.
Now, you and Rylan share a birthday, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, brother. Yeah.
What is that like?
Well, it's great because as you get older, I don't need to be reminded that I'm turning a year older, so that's kinda cool, to be honest with you. It's awesome, dude. It's just this
Yeah.
special bond that she and I have, and what's crazy is her maternal grandfather has the same birthday too. I
No
mean, so there's
way.
3 of it. It's so wild.
Wow.
It's so great, and I love it. It's a connection that we have, and it's so funny because 'cause I'll call her, and I'm the dad, so I'm like, "Happy birthday, baby." She's like, "Well, happy birthday to you too."
Yeah.
And it's like, "It's your birthday too, dad." And I didn't get to see her for our birthday this year, so she's actually on her way into Tyler from Dallas right now, and we're gonna go, crush a nice big steak to celebrate
Yeah.
because it was February 19th, and I know we're recording this, what's today, the 27th, so we're still celebrating it, brother, so
Yeah,
it's
you should.
awesome, dude. Greatest
Yeah.
gift I ever received.
It's so good. That's so good. You talked earlier about the nighttime rituals that you would do
Mhm.
with each of your daughters. I just imagine that you are such a fun dad and that you create fun experiences. And I'm just curious about creating rituals for a family that creates culture, like really unique things that are just right
Huge.
family things.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you've created that kind of make that connectivity so special?
Dude, now you're talking about one of my favorite topics in the whole world, and you're so right. First of all, let's double click for a minute. Folks, anybody listening out there, whether it's with your wife or with your kids, rituals and traditions, they are so very important. Again, it helps protect a marriage. If you think about a marriage ending or having some troubles, well, you also, if you're breaking 900 little bitty traditions that happen throughout the year, it gives a stickiness to it and it always
Mm,
gives you something to refer back to. So anyway,
mm,
now
mhm.
some of
Yeah.
them, okay,
Yeah.
they're as cheesy as we have made up Christmas songs, which I will not abuse your audience by singing, but there is a made up Christmas song called Johnny's Coming Home for Christmas that comes out every year. I sing it. They roll their eyes, but then they join in. And now I'm a Christmas fanatic,
Yeah.
as you know, Tony. So here's one of my favorite traditions, dude. Every Christmas Eve, after we have had daddy pasta, I make daddy pasta in my own concoction that the girls love, nothing healthy about it. We then watch It's a Wonderful Life. And then this is the best part, dude. I will read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to them. Now, mind you, and this was so sweet, Rylan actually came home by herself for Christmas one last time this year
Mm,
of her own accord. I didn't ask her to. They're getting to that age
mhm.
where I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do. And she's like, I'll be married next Christmas. It's my last Christmas
Right.
without being married. I'm coming home. And she came home by herself. And dude, so here I have Rylan at 25,
Yeah.
Abby at 24. They're only 15 months apart. They load up on the couch. It starts out as kind of like, okay, this is our tradition. This is what we do. open the book, the same book that was gifted to Rylan whenever she was born. It's the exact same one every year. And by the first page, dude, they're sitting there looking at the pages as though I'm reading to them when they were 4 and 5. Because it's beautifully illustrated version of Twist the Night Before Christmas. So we're pointing out the things we like we're seeing it for the first time, and it's the
Right.
24th, 25th Christmas, and we're still doing the exact same things. And all of a sudden, dude, they're like 4 and 5 again, and I'm reading to them, and it's so sweet. It's so cool. When we were still driving to Florida every year, so the girls would make up songs about they would see like a really kind of a rundown hotel, and one girl would say, "What's that? Is that a dump hotel I see?" And they go, "Oh, dump, dump." And so we'd all start singing their little song about this crummy little hotel. So making up songs, little things like that. A lot of it revolves around Christmas. We have a ton of traditions. But yeah, man, that's just a few of the little traditions. I have all these alter egos. I'll call and leave them voice texts. This is so funny. They have this made up Uncle Maury Brasky that has this real kind of, accent. And he's like all the, so out of the blue, they might be at work one day and their Uncle Maury will give them a call, you know? Yeah, so stuff like that, dude.
Uh,
It's a wonder the girls aren't mentally warped, and because
well,
they're
they're perfectly mentally warped. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that's just a little bit of our
Those
shenanigans.
are great. I really appreciate the intention of rituals, like that idea that there are these points of connectivity that are strength in tough times. And they're things that have us keep coming back to us and finding the parts that we love about each other. I feel bad for families that don't have anything like that
Yeah,
they're
man.
just,
One that I should have mentioned right off the top of my head. So when the girls were growing up, Father of the Bride, the Steve Martin
yeah.
version, we watched every year on Father's Day. That's something that we've done since they were really, really little. And now, dude, here I am about to be Father of the Bride. Probably already watched it 5 times this year.
Oh my
But
God.
that's a tradition that every
Yeah.
year, and even when we weren't together, the girls will let me know watching FOTB. Um, that's a cool little tradition, things like that we do.
I've forgotten about that movie. When that came out, I wasn't married, I was a young man. And I remember bawling my eyes out to that movie.
Yep.
I'm going to rewatch that now because, like, whatever it was that I was looking forward to about being a dad, that movie let me know that it was going to be the most incredible experience, and it has been. And so now I got to go back and rewatch that because it's been a long time. But thanks for that.
Well, there's one scene in there in particular where Steve Martin's lying in bed. The song "Today I Met the Boy I'm Gonna Marry" is playing, and he starts to think back from when Annie was born, and then he just shows this whole sequence of her kind of growing up to the present of her getting married. And any dad can watch that scene and put his child in place of Annie in Steve Martin's mind and the
Mm.
girls. Every time we watch it growing up, they'd be like, "Dad," because they knew I was going to cry during that
Yeah.
scene. Every single time I'm going to cry, and they knew it was coming. And yeah, man, Nancy Myers. Nancy knows how to do a movie,
Mm.
brother. He's awesome.
Mm. Man, Jason, this has just been so fantastic. I feel like we could talk for hours, and I want to, and I want to, we'll schedule the next one.
Yeah,
Next time we're talking, I'll be on your podcast. So
can't
I'm
wait.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up by just having you think about back to when you were just becoming a dad. So, Rylan's just born. You're walking through, and you don't know what's going on. Like that's definitely the number one thing is you don't know what's happening, and any advice that you've gotten probably makes no sense at all. But you have an opportunity to offer some advice to a brand new father. What would you say?
So first of all, yes, I still remember when we went out to our Ford Explorer, strapped her into her car seat, and I thought, "Are you guys serious? You're really trusting me?" Oh, it's so weird. It's like when your
Right.
kids start driving, you're like, "You're really gonna go drive?" It's like, "You're really letting me take this little helpless human being?" So first of all,
Do you know how irresponsible I am?
do you know about what I've done? So there is that. Okay, so some advice. First of all, slow it down. And people will say it all the time. It is cliche. You'll hear it goes by so fast, folks. It goes by so fast. Rylan just turned 26, and it seems like she should be turning 26 months. It goes
Mm.
by so fast. Savor it. Be patient. Be patient with your kids, build trust in them, hug them, love on them. I mean, give them lots and lots and lots and lots of love. Just on a practical sense, make them fall in love with books. It's
Mm,
not all about just the hugs and kisses and their security. And yeah, that's all emotional support. Amazing. But also, you're shaping their brains and you're forming their habits. Teach
mm,
them to read, teach them the beauty of learning and writing. Here's one, Tony.
yeah.
All the things that you wish that you were much better at as an adult, expose it to them at a young age and see if you can't nudge them into doing the things that if you had a do-over, you wish you would have done.
Mm,
Don't pressure them. Don't try to live
mhm,
vicariously through them. I'm not
mhm.
saying that, but give them the experiences and show them the things that you wish that you could go back and do it over again and do that. Like we said earlier, as they get older, speak to them like little adults and teach them, please please teach them to speak to other adults. Rylan and Abby, at a very young age, when we would have house parties or anything like that, they had to walk up to the adults, look them in the eye, shake their hand, introduce themselves. Rylan, it was so easy for her. She's naturally outgoing and magnetic.
Yeah, she's a
Abby, it was
mini you. Yeah, no
dude, she
problem.
so much. Abby, it was harder for her, but now, again, I'm bragging. Give me a little bit of grace here, folks. If you met my daughters, they're so easy to talk to. They can converse with anybody, the CEO of a company, the janitor, anybody in between. They can communicate and relate with any of them. Teach your kids good communication skills. And I think from there, just make it up as you go. You're not going to break them. They're resilient. The last thing, this is what I'll leave with, Tony, just like I would say to a newly married couple.
Mm,
Love them with reckless abandon.
mm.
Never, ever withhold love for 5 seconds. I don't care what they've done. I don't care if you think it's going to be rejected. Never, ever withhold love from your children. Give it to them. If you feel even the slightest inkling to run up and give them a bear hug, even if your daughter is 14 and she just started her period and she's just being a little brat that day, you go give her a freaking bear hug and say, baby, I love you. And it just never hold back the
Yeah.
love. And I
Yeah.
think it'll all work out okay.
That's really good stuff. The last thing that you said that I think is a really good takeaway is we get to love our children in the places where they're not feeling lovable.
Yep.
That's probably the greatest gift we can give.
100%, brother. Couldn't agree
Yeah.
more.
Didn't surprise me at all, Jason J. Dub, but absolutely loved our conversation. Love you, brother. I'm so blessed to have met you and have you in my life. I would love to meet your daughters. They sound absolutely incredible. So we'll have to make that happen one day.
Well, I love you back, brother. It's an honor to be on your show. I am so blessed to know you and thank you for what you're doing. I mean, the fact that you take this role of father so seriously, I told you, I'm jealous that you did it and I didn't, that I could talk being a dad all the time. So I'm honored, brother. I'm so glad you're in my life. And this is fantastic. Thanks so much, man.
Awesome. Well, until next time. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Dad Manual Podcast. If you liked it, please leave us a rating or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really liked it, please share it with a dad you love. I'm looking to grow a community of fathers who are ready to change the world, and I need your help to do that. And if you got questions or topics you want me to explore, email them to me at thedadmanual@gmail.com. I would love to answer your questions on our next episode. Until next time, I'm Tony Cooper, and this is the Dad Manual Podcast.